Welcome back to Bleach Anime Review, special number 2, special number 1, part 2. I'm doing a part 2 simply because there was some stuff I forgot to talk about in part 1. Namely, of course, basically what you see here in the picture, yeah, this is one of the many plot twists of the final arc, basically Ichigo doing this. A combination of his, basically merging his Quincy, Hollow, and Soul Reaper powers into this. Now, last time Orihime saw him do this, well, with the horns thing, he kind of became a monster. So, yeah. And he says, yeah, it's still me, despite the fact that I'm basically balancing all three powers at once. Mhm. Yeah. Um. Yeah. This is one of the many things I forgot to talk about. Next thing is Toshiro. Yeah. He basically gets a new Bankai and basically a new form, which allows him to go to a young adult form, what looks like a teenager, and he looks kind of like Ichigo. No, seriously, he looks like Ichigo. I don't know if it's Kubo basically just mistaken him, but he's drawn to look almost exactly like Ichigo for some strange reason. I have no idea why it is that he did that. Um, let's see what else. Yeah. Um, the captain of Squad 4, prior to Regina Urquina, she, prior to becoming a Soul River captain, she was a known criminal. A criminal who was possibly one of the most bloodiest criminals in the history of the Rukon district. Yeah, and it's never explained how she managed to suppress that particular personality prior to becoming a Soul Reaper captain. And she's been a Soul Reaper captain for a long time. Yeah. And she basically changes her demeanor. She's much more bloodthirsty when she becomes Yoricha. I think that's how you pronounce it, yeah. What else? I'm trying to think here. Oh yes. Yeah, Rich. Yeah, the plot twist for him is that it's revealed that he's the son of the Soul King. Which I'm kind of like, okay. And they don't do much with that little plot twist. Yeah, that's the thing is these plot twists. The one here, this one actually is built upon the plot twist of the main villain of this final arc being um, the son of the Soul King. That is never built upon. It just comes completely out of nowhere, and it's never followed up on. They reference it off for some reason. Oh, and of course, I also mentioned in the last part that there was another part of the arc where there was nudity, and it's a flashback of basically when Ichigo's parents first met, Asan and Asumi, I think her name is. Let me look up her name here. Yeah, and basically the way it's depicted is that his father was um, let's see, yeah, his father was originally his last name was Shiba. That was his original name, and he's yeah. It's revealed also later on that the Shiba people who Ichigo met in the second arc are actually his father's niece and nephew. I'm not kidding. So basically, Ganju is basically Ichigo's cousin. Ichigo's mother is named Masaki. Yeah, pretty much the way it's explained in the flashback is that originally she was set to engage Uru's. She was set to marry, engage and marry to Uru's father just to preserve the Quincy bloodline. And then she got basically she got affected by a hollow, which is later explained that Yahweh was basically behind that. Though it's kind of also explained that Aizen's the one who sent the hollow to kill. It's explained in the previous arc that Aizen was the one who sent the Grand Fisher to kill Ichigo's mother. Yep. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, and then when they had her become basically the way she is, basically, so because the fact that his mother underwent hollification, she had to basically run away with basically with his son, Ichigo's father. And it's also built in the same flashback. Ichigo's father was once the captain of Squad 10. Basically, he's Soshiro's predecessor as the captain. And also apparently Rangiku was still Lieutenant of Squad 10 at that point, and those of you seeing her wear that pink scarf, where it's like that pink sash that she wears around her waist and basically keeps her like a bow. Yeah, it used to be around her neck. Yeah, it was also shown in a flashback, also featuring Toshiro, where she's also wearing that sash as a scarf. I don't know when she decided to switch to having the sash around her waist than having it around her neck. Yeah. Oh yeah, and she kind of reminds me of Hiyori, I think her name is. Yeah, the Kisuke's lieutenant of Squad. Uh, let's see, what's her name? Her name is Hiyori. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Yeah, yeah. She kind of reminds me of Hora basically when she was Kisuke's lieutenant with the whole thing of kicking him in the face a lot. Yeah, because apparently he kept getting drunk and lazy. Yeah, that could explain why Rengoku basically drinks. But as far as I know, Ichigo's father never basically talks to Rengoku, both in the Ranka arc, even though she was basically there. Even the final arc, she's never talked to. So, because of the fact Ichigo and because of the fact Ichigo's mother was revealed to be uh, uh, Uru's father's cousin, that technically means that Ichigo is related to Uru by blood, obviously. So who is Uru's mother? Yeah, it turns out it was actually the family maid. So he married the family maid who had a thing for him. Yeah, this is basically I'm trying to think what was his name? Uh Uru's father. Uh what is his name? Uh let's see. I have to look it up here. What is Uru's father's name? His father's name is Raikin. Yeah, that is the name of his father. And so basically, it's even shown in the Aranka arc that basically Asan and Grudge basically know each other, and they don't like each other very much at all. And originally, Ichigo's mother was going to be killed because, well, she saved Soul Reaper. So yeah, and and during the process when she was basically sort of trying to revise her but never used her visor powers, yeah, for some reason they had her appear in the nude. No idea why, but even Ichigo basically got creeped out thinking of that little flashback. Looking up, he probably was thinking of it. And apparently Ichigo's mother basically was a good rock for Ichigo's father. Yeah. And yeah, he explains this during the period of time when he's sent back to Earth. Yeah, then of course it's basically right after Ichigo's back to the Soul Society that Ichigo's father and Ichigo's boss decide to do it. Yep. Yeah, it's like right after that. And of course Ichigo's sisters who actually are seen in the arc. They're seen very little throughout the whole arc. They show up a few times and that's really it. Uh Rangiku herself, I should mention though, she does virtually jack frickin' squat. I mean, yeah, she does something in a flashback, but very little. But as for the arc itself, she does nothing except get turned into a zombie for no reason, and then she's turned back by Minori, the captain of Squad 12. Yeah, it's never explained exactly how the process of some characters get turned into zombies, and only like two of them get turned back to normal, and that's just Toshiro and Rangiku. Yeah, as for the other two people who died, no mention that they were going to turn back into normal. Nope. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the finale. Basically, so apparently during the after the 10-year jump, beside the fact that Orihime and Ichigo married and Renji and Rukia married, apparently Ichigo never moved out of his family home. He's still living with his sisters. As for Ichigo's father it's never shown. Uru has become a doctor, which is something he actually wanted to do. It's actually referenced a couple times he did want to become a doctor. Chad has become a boxer. I'm like, okay, yeah. Despite the fact it's shown a flashback, don't use your fist for profit, and he kind of disobeyed his grandfather. Yep. And it's also shown, it's mentioned that he basically that Chad got bullied when he was younger, because of his enormous size. People easily picked on him. I don't know why, but yeah. I'm trying to think though, was there anything else? Um, hmm. Oh yeah, and that cliffhanger of, oh yeah, apparently Ichigo's son has got Soul Reaper powers, him just turning to a Soul Reaper just on a whim. Never explained. Yeah, basically this manga ended with a kind of a bizarre. The last page of the last chapter was really bizarre and head scratching. I'm sure that a lot of people probably asked Cuba like, what the heck is up with this ending? And I'm sure he probably never bothered to answer. I have heard that when the final chapter came out, people just wanted to forget about Bleach ever existing. I don't get why. Bleach is a good manga, and the anime was really good as well, despite the fact the last arc was never adapted at all. Um, I could see probably them bringing back people who voiced the Iran cars, uh, to do well. Iran cars who actually don't appear in the arc. Have the people come back to play the other evil Quincy's. That's the only idea I can have about that. But yeah. Um, but overall, Yashima basically was a great villain, and evil Quincy's were a great villain army who later turned on him because his real goal was not just destruction of the Soul Society, Wakamundo, yeah, and the real world. Apparently, he wanted the life of all life in existence, and he wanted to be the only thing left around. Wow. Talk about being over, having the biggest ego around. So they had a group of Quincy's turn on him, and yeah, they took out pretty much most of the evil Quincy's by the time this arc was over with. And also the evil Quincy's, the outreach, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, they all um, they all have basically letters. Yeah. Okay, the group is called the Wonder Rack. Yeah, which basically means Invisible Empire. Yarish was A. B is Younger Yaswell. Yeah, it's basically A, B, C, D. It's basically, it goes all the way up to about Z, and a Sigma. Yeah, and also during the arc, the Department of Research and Development is attacked by the Quincy's, which, wow. So yeah, yeah, it's shown that they attacked everywhere in the Soul Society. They didn't even attack the Rukon district, which is actually quite odd. It's like the Rukon district was completely untouched, while the I'm trying to think. I think it's Sokaima. No, it's not Sokaima. I'm trying to think. What is the name of the area which the Soul Reapers live? Let's see. Let's look it up here. Sarate. Okay. Yeah, it's called the Sarate. That's what it's called. Yeah, the Sarate is very heavily damaged. I would say this is probably more damage the Sarate taken. This is probably the highest amount of damage taken. Probably a lot more heavier than when Ichigo's group invaded the Soul Society back during the second arc of the manga and the anime. Yeah. And of course, unlike when Ichigo's group attacked, where nobody actually officially died, this time they had a bunch of people die. And I gotta at least praise Kiba for this. The villains were actually interesting, and they all had great dialogue. Not all of them basically were swearing. Basically, their leader did pretty much all the swearing. I think even their second command, the one who had the letter B, he did some swearing too. But yeah, the Soul Reapers, almost every single one of them loved to drop a bunch of swear words for no reason. Um, But yes, this is by far a good arc, despite the fact that when you finish reading it, it raises a bunch of questions. But luckily enough, the first light novel, trying to think, what is the name of that first light novel? It is called, I actually read it yesterday. It is called, um, We Do Not Always Love You. Yeah, that actually is explained more exactly what happened during the actual thing. Yeah, that light novel does answer a bunch of the questions that basically are asked. Do I think that them killing off the head captain and his lieutenant was more for shock value? It kind of was, but it did drive the plot. Yes, it did drive the plot of the final arc of the manga. The epilogue is just simply just a two-part, well, the best they can do for a conclusion. And thank God for the light novels to kind of fill in that time period exactly, what exactly happened during the 10-year jump. Yeah, and by the time Ichigo, when you see him in the epilogue, because the fact I think that when he by the time of um, the Fullbringer arc, which is when the series ended, the anime, I think he's probably around the age of 18. So by the time of the epilogue, he's like 28. Him and Orihime and a bunch of other characters, like the human ones. As for Rukia and Renji, I have absolutely no idea exactly how old those two are. Yeah. As for Ichigo's son, he looks like he's about 7 or 8-ish. Um, Kind of the same thing with Rukia and Renji's daughter. Now I think that um, his son, what is his name? His son's name is uh, Kazui. Yeah, I'm having a funny feeling that he's actually named after the Soul Reaper Lieutenant of Squad 3. Let's see, what is his name? Yeah, Urzu Kira. Yeah, he actually is killed very early on. Now, but my theory is that he named him after him, because he's probably like one of the other characters who died. So that's probably who he named him after. That's just my theory. But I'm sure a bunch of people probably have basically theories about who he's named after. But yeah. But the obvious another question that probably a lot of people ask, like, what the heck is Ichigo doing? Uh, Now since he's married and has a kid, does he run his family clinic? Never answered. And kind of the same thing where his father is. That's a question that probably a lot of people ask. I highly doubt he's dead. Yeah, I highly doubt it. So, as for where's the thing go here? Where's Bleach go from here? Just the light novels. Yeah, but there's only been 2 releases that take place during the 10-year time jump. Though the first one, from what I've read the synopsis of it, I will give spoilers. It takes place 3 years after the conclusion of this final arc, and I will give my early spoilers. Excuse me, for that particular book. Even though the book is not released here yet, but I did read the chapters for it online. Basically, a fan did a translation of that particular book into English, and he did a pretty good job. But I will reveal exactly what happened in this particular arc and what question. Well, one question I can definitely say was answered is how is Urzu even still alive despite that he's being killed? That question is answered of exactly what happened to him and what else exactly happened during when the Wonder Reach basically attacked the Soul Society. Okay, that's really all I gotta say. I think I covered pretty much everything related to this final arc. Stay tuned for special number 2, where I'll talk about the light novel, which is, get to it. The light novel is "So Death Not Do Us Part." Yeah, we do not always love you. That is what the next special is gonna be on. Okay, but until then, I will hear you there. Bye.